Let's check out how I used the sound Corduroy out of the EDM Volume 1 pack in the EDM Volume 1 demo. Let's take a listen to the clip. Cool, so this sound is only one MIDI note needed, and it's got this big sound. I'm going to play a note on my MIDI keyboard real quick. This is a sound. So that's the sound we're working with here, and here's how I used it. I just kind of created a lick out of it. Since they're basically embodying somewhat of chord textures overall, or chords, we have a really great opportunity to use this sound as your whole lead without needing much else happening. We have just C, G, A sharp, or B flat, and then F. And then we kind of scale it down to this E, and then we kind of do the same lick again. C, I actually change it up. C, F, G, and E. So really the logic, rhyme, or reason to this was that it sounded cool. And that was it. So we just found a cool rhythm and then found some notes. Notice how there was just vibrato speeding up there. So let's just jump right into it actually. Let's see exactly how I modulated the pre-assigned macros to create the movement and dynamics in this sound. So the 8 macros in this sound are vibrato, drive, reverb, glide, attack, intense mod, rate, and this arrow means that this rate affects the intense mod overall. So these two are kind of linked together. And then the mix, which is in this case going to affect the mix of the filtering. So let's see how I made this thing move. So the first thing I'm automating is the attack of the sound. So that's how it's actually rushing in or not rushing in to meet us. And let's actually see that right away. Let's move this, let's really bring this extreme. Notice how it took too long for it to even come in for the sake of this lick. Let's speed it up a little bit. So it's depending on, it's changing the amount of time it takes for the sound to actually come in. Let's make it quick. So in this way, we've made it so that the sound kind of slowly comes in, and then we kind of speed it up a little bit so that we have the attacks happening a little bit quicker. Great way to just kind of change the way that this this sound was felt by the listener. All right, let's check the vibrato. Vibrato is vibrato. We're going to shake this thing up. Oh, yeah. No vibrato. Nice and sturdy. 2. Super alien. So that's vibrato. Pretty self-explanatory. So let's check the drive. The drive is just going to add more distortion to the sound. So in this sound, I didn't have really any distortion happening in the beginning. Towards the end, we really crank it up so that we feel this getting grittier. So much heavier with the drive up. So let's hear it comes in. Really makes for a nice final feeling of it's getting closer and bigger, and which I dig. So let's check out the reverb. So the reverb in this sound is actually a smaller reverb, so it's kind of changing how close or massive it feels, right, like you're staying in the same room with it. So let's hear the difference. To me, it kind of feels like a big club. Down here, we don't hear it as much, but we're still in the zone. So what's cool about this is I made it so that we kind of begin in the space, but over here we kind of really, it's almost like the person is running farther away who's playing this instrument, and then he comes closer and then kind of subtly walks away. So it's just like the instrument is moving around the actual room. Cool, so let's get to actually one of the most interesting parts of the sound, and that is the intense mod and the rate, and these two parameters that go together, as I mentioned before. So the intense mod and the rate have to do with this whole shaking that you feel this sound doing, especially as it ramps up towards the end, right around here, most especially. That's different than the vibrato. And I'm really going to show you how we can hear the sound by playing with these macros right now. So not too much shaking right here, but let's bring the rate up. Now the whole sound is shaking. But it's different than vibrato. Let's actually bring the vibrato up too and see what that does. Let's bring the rate back down. So you can hear that they're two different kinds. Oops, let's get that back. Two different kinds of movement, shaking, vibrato. And when we change this intense mod, it changes how intense the shaking or the rate of the shake will be, and the rate determines how quick and often it's happening. So at the beginning, we really don't have any to speak of, and then as we get towards the end, it's ramping up, ramping up. So the whole thing, this whole time, is just adding that extra layer of energy. And then towards the end, I bring the intense mod down, so the rate, or even though the rate is up, we're subtly fading out the shaking regardless. So let's just hear that real quick now that we're aware of what these do. And listen to right around here, we're going to hit like the peak of our shaking, and then it's going to kind of go back down, and then the drive's going to kick in, we're going to get heavier and all that good stuff. So we get much more close, but around here we're really shaking it up with our intense mod. All right, lastly, let's check the mix, and the mix is going to be subtle. It's just basically how it's being mixed between either, I believe, the two different kinds of low-pass filters I think that this is using. Might be a DAF or a low-pass or an acid, I'm not sure. But it's mixing between the two different kinds of filters this is going to. So let's see if we can hear the difference. It's going to be subtle, which is why we subtly kind of shaped this, just to add that final layer of movement. But let's check it out. Okay, yeah, so it actually made a little bit of difference, and I think the way I perceive the resonance of the movement. Oh yeah, definitely a difference. Down's got a little bit more of a crisp top end, and up has got a little bit more grit. That's the way that I interpret it. But really, once again, what's magical is you just grab the sound, you tweak it up. We already have all the parameters you need to make something cool happen, and then you just see what it sounds like. So that's Corduroy, and that's exactly how I used the macros in order to make the movement and dynamics in the sound for the EDM Volume 1 demo. Lastly, this is, I bounced out this to audio by right-clicking and going bounce in place. And then I took this audio file of it and I made it fade out by using the fade tool. Right here, I grabbed my fade tool, made this fade here, and then right-clicked and clicked slow down, and that's how I made this. So it's just this audio, but with a fade or a slowdown on it. So one last time, let's hear the whole thing. That's Corduroy. That's how I used it. I hope you have a lot of fun with this one.